Hello and welcome to The Witch Source. I'm Whitney.
I'm Courtney.
And this is Phoenix Rose.
And today we are talking about clairvoyance in our Clairsenses series. So hopefully this episode will help you guys get a better understanding of this particular clair, how you can work with it, develop it, what it is, how to use it, and different ways that it can show up, because it can show up different ways for different people. It's not always the same. And I think that also tends to create some confusion. So hopefully we can answer questions you may have, answer questions you didn't know you had. And of course, if we don't answer something and you want to know more, make sure you are following us on Facebook. Just look us up, The Witch Source. You can also find us on YouTube, and you can always ask questions in the group, The Witch Source Society. So go ahead and throw those out there, check those out. So, clairvoyance. So, I'm going to give a start out with just a general definition. So, clairvoyance, or second sight, is a psychic ability located within the third eye, sometimes called the witch eye. This is also referred to as the sixth chakra, or brow chakra, where information is accessed, received, or projected in visual forms through images, visions, memory recall, pictures, symbols, or dreamlike visualizations or imagery. So, just a quick reminder for people, the third eye is located within the forehead, slightly above and between the physical eyes. So you just kind of imagine that spot on your forehead, just right above where your eyebrows come together in the center there. And a lot of times you'll notice if you do any kind of meditation, and sometimes even you can find yourself doing it when you daydream, you'll tend to roll your eyes upwards in that direction. And when you go to sleep, your eyes will roll upwards in that direction. And it helps turn on and activate that third eye, which is also linked to your pineal gland, which is in the very center of your head, and is also in control of activating and working all of these things. So if you're not sure what all those terms are, you're welcome to Google them. They are very scientific, I'm sure.
I love the fact that it's also called the witch's eye. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so when I was doing some research, there's like so many names for it, which I found fascinating. But yeah, and so many people, like way back in the day, you would hear like, old wives' tales type things of like people with the second sight. And this is what they're referring to, which I thought was pretty cool.
No, that's awesome.
So let's see. But yeah, so if you want to, a good way to like really start to work with and activate and turn on just your third eye and pineal gland in general is to do some meditation, visualization, any of those kinds of things, because when you're working magic, especially because we are a magical podcast, it really helps to visualize and see those things. So it's very important, especially when you're doing your goals or you're trying to set your intention. And some people even do their full ritual in their head, right? And that is part of that visualization. But you are also using that clairvoyance, and you are sending and receiving energy through that third eye, through that witch eye, and using that sense. So I don't think that people always maybe go the extra step to tie all of those pieces together, but they do all actually work together, and they are very closely related in how they work. And the fact that you are actually sending and receiving energy through that section of your head and your brain. And as you guys are familiar with this at all, or at least me, I all the time talk about grounding, centering, connecting, and all of that is very much using your clairvoyance sense, your third eye, and practicing that visualization, because you want to get the grounded, the rooted, the connected, the centered, all of that. And again, that's all energy, working with your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual state. And then if you're working magic, of course, you are projecting or possibly pulling in energy, depending on what kind of spell work that you're using. But then when you are using this sense in a form of as a gift, let's say, you are actually receiving. So this particular clairvoyance, is considered projective and receptive. So just a little tidbit.
I'm reminded of the post that Phoenix Rose made the other day about, going to do magic and, did you ground center and, yada, yada, yada. I'm the one that shows up with the Cheeto dust on my finger
Right.
saying, let's do this. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that definitely is true because you always ask me that whenever we go to do spell work together, have you grounded? Have you centered? Have you, meditated? And I'm over here like, no, I just got off the bus. Let's do this.
Did you cast your circle? Did you stay in it? No.
Did you cast your circle and stay
Did
in
you
it?
get that cord deep enough?
And that's I don't do any of that.
Okay, that one cracks me up, Rose. I love that one.
I think that also kind of shows the difference where, like the previous podcast, I don't have the knowledge of these at all. So, I'm learning about these as everyone else is learning about them. And, I don't pull that side. So I'm learning, what I can do.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Staying open and learning and, hopefully at the end of the episode being able to be like, you know what? I really did learn something and maybe I do have a knack at this and didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what we're going for. Okay, so any questions so far? You guys, anything you want to talk about in particular before we dive into more in the clairvoyant world?
No questions so far.
Okay, cool.
Teach away.
All right. Thank you. Yes. All right. So there are actually two forms of clairvoyance, you guys. So there is internal and external. So your internal clairvoyance is the ability to see something on the screen of your mind's eye. Okay. And then the external clairvoyance, which we'll get to at the end of this episode, is the ability to see an overlay vision over your regular sight senses, such as auras, spirits, orbs, sparks, shadows, and lights. So I know a lot of times people think about clairvoyance as just the internal piece, or maybe, getting the visions or, that kind of thing. But really, there's the external piece as well. A lot of people can see auras and things like that. But we'll touch on that towards the end. And then there are people that can actually see both and do lots of different things. And that's always fun and really cool too. So that's the whole thing. Like you could have, be really strong in one area and not so strong in another. And you may want to develop more in the different areas that are available. So that's
I have gotten books on, how to see auras and developing that sense. It takes a lot of work. And it's kind of something that, I started to see and started to do. But it takes a lot of devotion that, I didn't have at the time. So, but you can definitely, you can start.
See, I did not know that you had actually showed an interest in that at any point in time. So this is new to me.
Oh, we're talking like, maybe 10 years ago. I think I still have the book. I just haven't picked it back up.
What? You knew we were doing this episode. You could have picked it up.
Oh, I didn't know it was going to be on auras. So, there we go.
Well, okay. All right. Fair enough. So yes, auras do fall under the clairvoyance sense. I guess if that wasn't well known ahead of time, now that is, yes, new information for everybody.
You see shit.
There we go.
It would be part of it.
Right. True. Yeah. Clairvoyance is, you see, like Rose said, you see shit. So, All right, so cool. So internal clairvoyance is most often how information can be or is received in meditation as well. So I know a lot of people, they will sit in meditation, and yes, you can hear things, you can receive and hear, just with your clairaudience, like we talked about on the last episode. But a lot of people also in meditation will receive information via their internal clairvoyance of seeing answers, symbols, signs. But jumping into that, so internal clairvoyance, you have actual three main viewpoints. And what I found interesting is I've used my clairvoyant gift for I don't know, forever, without even really realizing it. I mean, if you think about how many times in your life did you just daydream something and it happened?
That's one of my, we've discussed a lot, I have to watch my thoughts because thoughts manifest.
Right, right. Rose, what about you?
I've definitely, I would have to say through meditation, though, not so
Through
much
meditation,
daydreaming.
not
Yeah.
daydreaming. Okay. So, all right. So, sister, I want to ask you,
Okay.
when you have done your random thoughts, your daydreaming and things manifest, do you put a visual with it or is it the random thought? Because it's the visual that I'm going for with the daydreaming.
Um, yeah, it can be like, okay, so I wasn't happy where I was living. So driving by apartment complexes, I'm like, oh, well, there's no yard work. There's yada, 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 all the benefits of living in an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's, I think I want to live, it would be nice. I wonder it'd be like to live in an apartment. And then next thing I know, things are going to crap and, next I'm living in an apartment. Um, thoughts of, I really, when mom had the house down in South Carolina, oh, that was a really nice house. I wouldn't mind having a house like that. And then, so many
Right.
years later, now I've got one. Um, it's, you know, I wonder what it would like. I wonder what it would be like to work, someplace. And then, next thing I know, I'm working there.
Right.
And it's a random thought that I have that usually specific places, specific things that manifest, not necessarily at that point in time, but it's kind of like when you do a vision board. They tell you to
Right.
do vision boards, and then to go back and look at them so many years later, and it's kind of surprising sometimes how things you didn't realize that have ticked off, you've accomplished.
Right. Right. Okay. So that I like the vision board tie in there because I guess part of my question is when you are thinking these things, are you seeing yourself in the spot, in the place, in the house, in the apartment, in your mind's eye?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, because that's the key. So that's the magical piece. And that is also if you are, let's say, seeing yourself or in your mind's eye, you are in your apartment and looking at your apartment. Let's go with the apartment one. You are
Hmm.
in your apartment and you are looking at your apartment. If that's what you see in the mind's eye, that would be what we consider the first person.
Okay.
And that is a way that you can, one, manifest and use your magic. But two, it's a way that you can also receive information because you got to remember with this clairvoyant sense, again, it's receptive and projective. So
Right.
I know, like for me, ever since I was a kid, I had a very vivid imagination. And if you guys ever, like one of my biggest, I guess, takeaways from this episode that I want you to have is read fantasy and visualize and imagine the stories, right?
Oh
Rose
yeah.
had something to say there. I know you did.
No, books definitely
Mhm.
they help because you always see it in your mind and you always play it out and you always see the characters the way you do. So it really helps with visualization.
Yeah, exactly. Because building that imagery in your head strengthens that clairvoyant sense. So, and especially if you're reading things like, Harry Potter, okay? Throwing that one out there because it's so much to imagine, right? But as a kid, I can remember like just having such a vivid imagination, and you have people like that had imaginary friends growing up. I know there's got to be, people that are going to listen to this podcast that have had imaginary friends growing up. I was one of them, and I'm sorry, they might not have been imaginary. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think they very well may have been legit. Did either one of you guys have one?
Oh,
Um,
definitely, I did.
I was told I had an imaginary friend named Linda, and the first dog that we had was named after my imaginary friend, I guess.
Oh, wow. Linda. That's pretty random. Wonder who that was.
See, and I don't remember it, but due to circumstances, there's a lot of things that I don't remember from
Right,
that whole time period.
right. Rose, do you want to talk about yours?
Um, I believe her name was Heather. I don't really remember it, but I do remember going into my room and acting out a whole scene when I would get sent to my room being in trouble or something. I don't know
Yeah,
how many times my father would open the door and be like, "Who do you have in here with you?" Like, check in my room, like he was hearing another voice while I was in there playing.
right,
So I'm definitely along on them lines of it may not have been imaginary friend per se.
right. Well, and your dad was gifted as well, so he probably was picking up stuff, right?
Right? Yeah, no, he was. So
Yeah,
he was like, "There's somebody in here. Where, did they jump out the window? Are they under your bed? Are they in your closet?" It's like, "No, it's just me."
right. I love that. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that having that imagination and having that. But I just know like my whole life, like if I ever just daydreamed, imagined, visualized, and I did it within my body. Okay. So when I talk about grounding, centering, connecting, and you guys can go find those podcast episodes if you're interested. But I talk about centering within your heart space. But what you can do is center within that third eye space within your head, where that pineal gland is. And then this is where you can activate this clairvoyant sense and tie it in with your magic. And you see it as if it's actually happening. You are experiencing it in real time. And I know anytime I have done this, especially in that daydream state, right? Like not even necessarily all that intentional. It happens. And the coolest experiences for me have been when it has happened literally word for word, action for action, even down to what people are wearing. They will be wearing the clothes that I visualized them in these little, mini projections, um, mini spell workings, if you want to call it that. Um, but I see it as if I am in myself, right? Like I'm not seeing it happen to me. It is happening through me in real time. And that is what we call the first person. So, definitely you can think about this like when you are reading a book and you're imagining and visualizing the scene. That's a little bit different. If you are one that puts yourself in the scene, that would be a second person. But if you're seeing it, like it's actually, you're watching the movie in your mind while you're reading the book, that would be
Mhm.
like a third person scene. So you're seeing it happen to somebody else. So you can play around with where you want to be, as far as if you're working the magical side. But it makes a big difference too when you're receiving information and using this as a gift, right? And you're getting information coming in. So I know, for example, when I am reading my cards, when I read my fairy cards, which if any of you have ever seen a live that I do, you know I use my fairies. And if you've had a private reading with me, you know I do not do spreads, right? So like your classic tarot, you know, you often use certain spreads and cards fall in a certain place and mean a certain thing. My fairies don't do that. They tell me where they want to fall. They show me what they want me to do. And so what I see is different symbols in my head. I'm shown. So I just start with a blank canvas in my mind, right? So I just close my eyes, nothing. I see nothing. And I roll my eyes up to my third eye, you know, and I'm already, again, grounded, connected, centered for me. I've got to be in my space to open and receive. But I roll my eyes up into my third eye and open it up, and we'll get into that. But symbols and images will start to show up in that just blackness for me. And that is how I lay the cards. And I don't think I've ever had anybody be disappointed by a layout that I know of.
No, I've never seen anyone disappointed.
No,
You know,
actually, I was going to say, I've gotten some pretty cool ones from you.
and it's so cool. Like sometimes the stuff that comes out is crazy. Like it's not me. I just open and I ask to receive and I allow the space and I will see symbols, and sometimes they'll build. Like maybe it'll start as a triangle and then it'll start to expand. And anybody that has some private reading time with me knows I'll check in, right? So I might start with, like, let's say the triangle, and then I'll close my eyes and I'll check in and they'll expand. I'll lay more cards. I'll check in, they'll expand. I'll lay more cards. And sometimes what comes out is totally wild, but it's just being open and allowing and trusting the information that's coming through. So sometimes you'll see actual scenes like we just talked about, and you can receive information in that way. Like if you're meditating and you have a problem and you're looking for a solution, I know before I have seen a scene act out in front of me and I am watching it and I will see myself, right? So this is the second person. I will see myself interacting with a person or talking with a person. Sometimes it's my sister, sometimes it's Rose, sometimes it's, you know, whatever. It could be anything, but I see this act out in front of me, and that is my way of knowing, okay, I need to reach out to this person or I need to contact this person. And then sometimes the information just comes. Like the answer will just come just in watching the scene itself. There's nothing further I need to do. And then what's really fun is when you get to the third person and people you don't know start to show up, right? Like you see different faces, you see different energies, you see colors, design, patterns, shapes, symbols, all kinds of stuff that can start to show up, that if you just open that space and trust what you're getting. And yes, it feels like you're making it up. Yes, it feels like it's your imagination. But the difference is you have to trust yourself. Just like we talk about building your intuition, all is stepping stones, building on. You have to trust your information. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust that there is more to this than you just making it up in your head. So
Right.
You have to believe.
Yes. But that's when you start to get the validation. That's when you start to find out the truth. So Rose, I would love to hear, because I know you've got some good experiences. I know that you have seen different things with me. You've helped I know you can see stuff. I would love to know your kind of thoughts and opinions and how you get information. And maybe if you want to share some specifics, maybe thoughts.
Well, mine always comes randomly. So it's, I could be trying to meditate and get things, see pictures in my head, people, um, or trying to go to sleep and trying to get into that calming space. And all of a sudden, I've got faces and, little eyes looking through peepholes. So I see all of that stuff. And um, now I like the tarot thing with the oracle cards and stuff, because I've had that happen with me once, and it's like, how do I lay these down? And then all of a sudden I got a spread, and they won't show me anything else because that's how they want to be read. So that's my spread. I'm like, how to lay you out? And they're like, use your spread. And I'm like, okay. But
Yeah.
I've seen, oh goodness, where to start? Um, I've had loved ones come to me. I've seen pictures, and like, I tried to sit down when I was in a psychic development group, and I sat down in front of somebody and we were told to do a certain task. And I was like, I can't get past a house. All I'm seeing is a house. And I described it, and the one was like, oh, that's my son's house. I was just there today and we talked about the flowers. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was able to get more to it. Because once they were like, you have to talk about what I'm showing you. Um, so you've got all kinds of different examples. I've done, somebody came and told me, like I spoke about in the last podcast, about not being able to go and cut trees down on a piece of property. And
Mm.
in my head, before she even told me what had happened, I had seen the Indian, and he was all, dressed like they were way back then. And he was very angry, and I could see him being very angry. And
So
there's that.
all of that feels like third person. So you like watched, you see it happening. Like it's a scene that's playing out in front of you, or like seeing the house, almost like you're seeing it on a movie screen almost.
Right. Yes. Yes. That's how I would put it.
Cool. Yeah.
That's definitely how I guess that works with me.
Well, and that's a thing. So it can be all in your head. And then another option that a lot of, I feel like people that use this gift a lot is it's almost like it's projected outside of your head. So your first person is going to feel like inside your headspace. Your second person is going to feel like you're almost seeing this, even though, yes, it's in your mind's eye. You see things maybe 3 to 6 inches in front of your head. That's how it feels in your headspace. Even though, yes, you're still seeing it in your mind's eye, it feels separate from you. It feels separated from you. And then the third person scenes can actually feel further away, like 6 inches to a foot, um, sometimes up to 3 feet away from you, is how the images can feel and appear. And it's like you see it from that distance, like you're watching it happen. And then I've also heard other psychics talk about that they do project, um, about a foot in front of them, almost like a movie screen that they allow things to play out on. So there is that sense of separation from within you to close to you and then further from you. Um, for those that are working or want to work on developing this more, I would say that if you feel like what you're sensing or seeing is further than like 3 feet in front of you, 3 to 6 feet in front of you, start over and try to pull it in closer. I think it's a start. I think the energies are trying to come in because again, it's receptive as well. So that energy is trying to come into your energy and your aura and your space so that you can feel it and receive it. It's just having a hard time. So try letting go, relaxing, and starting over, and see if you can't allow it to come in and come closer. Rose, what do you feel like that's true for you as far as that space and separation, even though it is still all within that in your mind's eye?
No, definitely, especially with some of the experiences that I've had, that even though it was inside my head, it still felt far away. It's like, you're not seeing it in the room around you, but you're still seeing it in your mind, but it feels farther away.
Yeah. I definitely feel like I get stuff that way as well, especially when something is sent to me. So like with the example with my cards, I feel like those symbols and those images are sent to me from probably, I'd say maybe 6 inches, 6 inches to 3 inches in front of me and in front of my third eye. And it feels like it drifts in, and then I receive it into my mind's eye. And then I can, lay out or sense or see or feel. But you guys can play around with that and just see, like, if you're getting stuff, where does it feel like it is in relation to you and your energy?
Right, exactly.
Because it does make a big difference. And, and the more you play with that, and especially in the reverse, right? So the magical aspect of projecting things that you want to create or manifest, as well as, if you're wanting something to happen, and you're throwing stuff out, you're throwing energy out, you're throwing this vision out. How far are you throwing it? Where is it in relation to you? And I think a lot of times that is relative to how far is it from your energy and how long timeline wise does it take for it to manifest. But then I feel like the opposite's reversed. So when you're trying to pull stuff in and manifest, how far do you feel like you're having to pull it from energetically?
I like that. No, I like that a lot. It's a good way. It's a really easy way to put it.
Right. Like, is it years out? Is it a month out? Is it distance wise? Is it a football field away from you that you are having to pull it in? Is it 10 feet in front of you? And just trying to get a feel for energetically, what is your energy doing? How are you interacting with the energies around you as far as that push and pull? And then how does that relate to your timeline?
No, exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like too, like when we start to really dive into some of this stuff, especially in the psychic world, right? When we're doing psychic readings and people want predictions or this is coming. Everybody wants to know the time, right? 3 to 6 months, a
Yeah.
year. Timing is so important. And I feel like that timing again is relevant to the distance in which you're receiving this information. And I
Okay,
think
It
I
all
like that.
depends on you.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And how are you receiving the information first off for like whoever you're reading, but where is it in relation to them as well? So it's not just about figuring out your own energy and how you're receiving the information, but then learning other people and where they're at in relation to the things they're energetically involved in and tangled up with.
Right. Me personally, I like to stay away from the fortune telling part of it, because
Right?
if you tell somebody, oh, you're going to find the love of your life in 6 months, they're going to be like, oh, well, in 6 months, the love of my life is going to be here. So they're not going to do what they were supposed to do. They're not going to talk to the people they were supposed to talk to, because they're just like, oh, well, I was told he would be here by now. So I
Right.
try to
And
stay away from the.
yeah, go
I
ahead.
find it I find it interesting that you were saying that because my mom and I went to go see someone down in Charlotte, and she was talking about me finding the person I was supposed to be with, And she actually gave a timeline of when I would find them and when I would meet them. And of course, sister knows that I am horrible about remembering my readings. I get a
Yeah.
reading and then completely forget about them.
Yes.
And it was brought to my attention that, my current husband, I met him at the time period that lady had said.
So she
And,
was right.
oh yeah, she was right. I mean, and it was after the fact that, it was pointed out to me and I'm like, oh, really? She said that? Really? I didn't even remember that. But I mean, you guys do that to me all the time,
I know. I want to
Well,
shake you.
I get them, I forget about them, and maybe that's why they do manifest, because I'm not countering whatever should come.
No,
That's
exactly.
true. That's true. I would agree with that. The fact that you do let it go and let it happen, that could be a really big part of it for sure. Um,
She acknowledges it, accepts it, and then just lets it go.
yes.
I
So
mean,
that's
well,
the way to do it.
you said the same thing about when we were in that one store. And I was like, I don't know if that guy was any good. And you're like, you pointed out, he was talking about I would have to do the work to get a job someplace else. And you pointed out after I'd gotten a job someplace else, you're like, oh, you did what he said. It happened. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even realize, but I'm a Pisces. I'm oblivious.
Just rolling through that water and just floating by.
I do.
Must be nice.
Right?
Because that is not me.
I do, man. I float through life and
That's the secret.
That is the secret to it. But, I feel like, okay, if somebody does give you timing, okay, you should respect that because I feel like getting timing down when you are doing readings, especially uh, psychically, it is not easy to do. That person has really crafted their gift and learned their gift and other people to be able to, really be able to get that information. But to that point, I do agree with you, Rose, on the fact that yes, some people will just drop the ball the minute they hear they're going to get what they want and the time frame. And it's like, no. What the psychic is reading or what the information is that's being received is going and if the witches that are listening to this podcast will probably already know this to be true, but for everybody new, our baby witches, whatever you want to, whoever, what the psychic is reading and what the cards are reading at the time of your reading is your current projection of energy.
It's
When
the path
you
you're on
change,
now.
yes, when you change your energy, when you change your projection, it can change everything because it is a web. It is, it's far reaching. If you change one little thing on this side, it's going to have a far reaching effect. So, as witches, we should know if we have been given this psychic information and told this is going to happen in 3 months, 6 months, 3 weeks, 3 years, what have you. Um, that's if we continue with the work that we're currently on and if that's what we want to manifest. And that's like, yes, you can change. If you don't like what your cards are telling you, you do not have to accept it. You can do things to change the outcome. Now, it gets trickier when there's other people involved and their
Mhm.
energies are on a projection that are not easily swayed or changed. But as far as you and your circle of influence, you can change your outcome.
You are the creator of your own story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing
So
is set in
please,
stone.
exactly. So please keep all of that in mind. And again, when you work on developing these senses and getting this information, and, again, please write it down. That's one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself. And I know not everybody has time to go sit and journal or write out their experiences or yada, 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 or record every reading they've ever had. Like, I get it. Okay. I understand. But if you are being serious with your psychic work and you really want to develop it, it helps you to write this shit down and have a record so that you have your own validation.
No, exactly.
I said this was going to happen in 3 months and it happened. Boom. Like, then you don't need somebody else to come along and tell you that you're right. You've got your own proof. And that's the biggest thing of why I am an advocate for write it down, for yourself. It's not for anybody else, and it's not to take up your time. It's literally so that you can go back, especially in those moments when you are not feeling magical, you're not feeling strong, you feel like you just want to give up, you feel like it's all just a bunch of, crap and none of this is real. You can go back and you can remember and read all the cool things you've had, all the magical experiences that happened, all the things you manifested, all the things that you got right, so you can keep going.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Nice to be able to read your experiences.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's what I love. Like, I have got so many experiences that, especially with just this clairvoyance piece, I mean, the visualization, I think I've I can't remember if I've shared this one before or not, but I'm going to share one of mine. I remember I had several years ago a doctor's appointment. I was very nervous about this doctor's appointment, and I had to get some blood work done. And so I'm sitting in the waiting room. Okay, this is how this went down. I am sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office waiting to get my blood pulled. And I'm like, you know what? Bump this. I'm going to do some magic sitting right here. I closed my eyes, didn't give a damn. I did what I do. I grounded, I connected, I centered, tapped in, and I visualized my blood being drawn. I visualized it being exactly what I needed it to be. And then I visualized getting those results from the doctor the same day. I visualized him walking in the room. I visualized him telling me my numbers were good and I didn't have to have this particular shot that I did not want to have because it was extremely painful and it lasted for several days worth of pain. I didn't want to do it. So, and the likelihood of me having to do this was very high. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there because it's why I was freaking out in the waiting room. And I was like, I'm going to do something about this. So I'm sitting there. I visualize all of this, okay, down to I am sitting on that bench in the doctor's office. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? That table. And that door opening and him coming in saying, I'm good. Blood looks great, and walking out, okay? Now, they call me. I go get my blood done. I forget about this, right? Because now my name's been called. I'm snapped out of it. So I go do the blood draw. And I go wait to go see the doctor. And then I go see the doctor. And then I'm like, oh, have you got my stuff yet? Have you got my stuff yet? Have you got my stuff yet? And he's like, no, it's not in yet. Yada, yada, yada. And he leaves the room. So I'm like, great. Right? So I'm thinking, it didn't work. Next thing I know, he opens the door, walks in the room, tells me my blood's great. I don't have to have the shot, turns around, walks out. It happened. Exactly. Even to the point the doctor did not knock on the door when he came in the room. Now you tell me, how many times does the doctor not knock before he comes in the room?
Right. It's like
they knock before they come in. He didn't knock because I didn't visualize it.
Right.
I didn't put that mess in there. And this happened all within maybe an hour. I made this happen within an hour. So I'm telling you, not this gift is so powerful. It's so important magically, but also psychically, because you can get so much information this way. And again, I imagined that all, I visualized it all first person within my headspace, within my own mind. So, and again, when I do readings for people, a lot of times it's second person, slightly removed, a little bit, 3 to 6 inches in front of me, I receive information. And then sometimes when I receive bigger visions, which I have on the lives before, they are further away and they are shown to me in a little bit further space. And that's the third person view. So, but there's lots here that you guys can play with, practice, try around. But this is why I advocate the visualization. This is why I advocate the meditation pieces, because they have been so highly effective in my own life. I would not preach it literally if it wasn't so effective for me. This is not something I just sit here and talk about because I've researched and, oh, this book says yada, yada, yada. No, this
Right.
is my real life and it works. And I want you guys to understand it can work for you too. But yes, it takes some time. It takes some practice.
You practice what you preach.
Right. And I really do try. I'm human. I mess up, but I do really try to get back on the wagon and get going again. Rose, I would love to, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, I would love for you to share, as I know you told me one time, when you were doing your psychic development group, something about there were photographs inside of envelopes or something, and you guys kind of had to give information about what, and you didn't see it, right? Because it was an envelope. Yeah. I would love to hear not only what that experience was like for you and the information you received, but also, again, within that first, second, third distance, to give people some kind of perspective, how you received the information you got.
Okay. I would have to see where it was, or I'd have to say it was like through my eyes.
Okay.
So, when I held the envelope, I had seen like light. I'd seen a tree, like leaves and stuff like that, and I seen the light coming through it. And then I was shown like a party deck, like a house with a deck on it that had a sliding door on it. I was shown like tables with plates and stuff like that, but it was all like I was seeing it through my own eyes.
So you were moving around. Was it like you were moving around within the vision, seeing all this?
Yes, it was.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I had seen and heard like a river, and I looked over, and there was a river that that went by the property. So that was kind of neat. I seen two people like linking their arms together, like coming together, like a man and a woman coming together.
Could they see you?
No, it wasn't anything like that. It was more like just being shown the pictures and stuff like that. So it was more like that was more of like a still life kind of thing.
Right.
Oh goodness, I'm trying to remember.
I did put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
You did. It's okay. Well, to go in with the last one, the clear hearing, I heard like stuff like celebration, family. I heard words like sadness, coming together. And when I finally was able to open the picture, it was a picture of a man and a woman standing together very close. There was a tree in the background with light coming through it. And that picture was taken at a family gathering. These two were brother and sister. They had been, I want to say, quarreling for a while. And that day they came together and they let bygones be bygones, and they just were one big happy family. And surprisingly enough, the house was next to a river.
Okay, so I'm covered in cold chills right now, just FYI. I freaking love this for multiple reasons, not just because it was total validation for you and went above and beyond with the river, which was an added bonus that was not in the photograph that you got, because that's awesome.
Right.
But I love that, number one, you guys, this is a way that you can practice some stuff, right? Like go gather. If you've got a group of friends or a witchy group of friends, or we might can do like some kind of like thing in the group, right? That would be cool, that where people can practice different things like this, and just see what kind of information you can get off of different things, different items like this. But I like that you were able to explain that you were seeing it all in your mind's eye, and you were moving within the scene.
Right.
You were
I
seeing different pieces within what was going on. I love that.
I could see that
Right.
being done with different people posting pictures in the group, and then, just what do people see? What, and just commenting on it. And then, maybe like leave it up there for a day and then explain, who the person was or what the scene was, or, I
Yeah,
think that would be a great way.
we totally need to play around with this some more. And you guys, we totally will. And so if you're not in the group, get in the group, because we want to do some fun, cool stuff in there. But I just think there's so many ways that you can work on developing and expanding on this gift. But to me, that right there just gives so much example. So okay, I want to know some more. So you saw the colors. Could you see the colors of everything?
Oh yeah, it looked like I was standing right there amongst it. So it was all like real life, like it was happening right then.
Okay, I'm going to take this a step further, and I'm jumping
So I
ahead.
could
Go ahead.
no, go
Okay.
ahead.
um, could you tell what the weather was like? Like, could you feel the weather?
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful fall, like warm day, nice little breeze, and I even told her this too, and she was like, "No, it was a really nice day, and it was just right, a nice little breeze. It wasn't too hot." Like, but yeah, I could definitely feel like
You sense
what
feel
the
like
day
you were
was like.
there.
A little breeze from like, because I could see the lights coming through the tree, so the leaves were moving, and I could feel that slight breeze on my face. And I had
I just
another
love
one
that.
where we had done another one like that, and I had gotten an envelope and it had a lipstick in it. And I was like, the first thing I heard was like, "Ooh, pretty makeup." I'm like, okay, I was a little excited there. So then I sat with it, and the next thing I seen was like a dressing table with a window and like a guest bedroom. And I looked out the window, I could smell lilacs, and I looked out the window, and there was a lilac bush right outside the window. And I explained the scene to the person, and she was like, "Oh, well, you got to see my guest bedroom." Because I'd seen like the dressing mirror, the bed, the vanity, the dressing table with all the little things on it, and I explained it to her, and I
See,
don't
I
know.
love that. And you were seeing it in your mind's eyes if you were sitting there again?
Yeah, as if I was walking through her house myself.
Nice. Nice. Cool.
And I've had a
Awesome.
reading done by you one time, and I was shown crystals. It was the only thing I seen. I didn't like see your table or anything. It was just like they showed me crystals. And I'm like, yeah, she likes crystals. Her crystals are very pretty.
Yes, and they are all over in my space. And actually, there is a picture hanging on my wall that has a burst of crystals on it as well. So not only do I have artwork of crystals, I have the actual crystal.
Maybe that's what I was seeing.
Actually, you know what? I think you might have been, now that I'm thinking of it. Um, it's that, but
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, it
Is that
was.
it?
It was just the crystals that I was seeing.
You were seeing the photo on
Just
my
the
wall.
crystal part of it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But see, I always have crystals around me. Like I'm surrounded. But yeah, I have artwork too, so that's awesome. I love that.
No, it was definitely that cluster I seen.
Yay! See, you guys, this is so cool. And this is what I love. I love being able to talk about this, experience it, talk it through. And again, if you have no idea where to start with any of this, I highly recommend that you start with your intuition. Because
Yes.
you have to build that trust within yourself so that you will be able to trust the information that you receive as you build your clear senses. It really does all build upon each other. They are like stepping stones.
Yeah.
And yes, you will have these people that will show up and they will just be like exceptionally gifted in, one clair or the other or some area, and it took like nothing for them to get there. Please do not be discouraged. Okay?
No, exactly. Just because it's a weakness doesn't mean it's a weakness. Your
Exactly.
strengths could be somewhere else. For instance, I've actually come to the realization that my Claire is clear knowing. I know shit all the time. I just know shit. I don't know how I know shit, but I know shit. And that's got to be my strongest one. And I've got to learn to trust it so then that will get even better. And
Exactly.
I'm not too strong on seeing shit,
I think you are. I would say you
but
are.
well, internally I'm pretty good. Externally, not so much. I'm still wanting some more of that. I'm like, give me more, give me more.
Well, on that note, let's give you some more. So, all right. So, again, trust yourself, strengthen it. Really don't underestimate yourself and don't underestimate just having that vivid imagination. And if you want to start somewhere, again, meditation, intuition, read a fantasy novel and get those juices flowing, because that's one of the biggest ways to get that imagery started. I'm going to try to jump ahead here because I feel like I've jumped around a little bit on my notes here and covered a lot of stuff, which is good.
That's how we roll.
It is how we roll. We just kind of go everywhere. Okay, we talked about the distance and trying to play around with some of that. You can always, try to see things almost like they're on a movie screen and just kind of see what comes up. Try it out. Okay. So here's a little exercise I want to throw out, and then we'll jump into the external. And some exercises there. So another thing you can do to get started is find a very simple object that you can hold and really study. So this can be something as simple as a ball, or it can be a crystal, anything that you want. But get something that you can physically hold in your hand and kind of study. And then just practice closing your eyes and recreating that image of that object that you're holding within your mind's eye. And then after you have built on seeing that object in your mind's eye with your eyes closed, practice moving it, spinning it, changing the colors, maybe turning it upside down. And then you can really get creative and make it melt. Right? So there's different things you can do. So like if you've got a crystal and you've got this, let's say, piece of quartz, and you have visualized this piece of quartz in your mind, now visualize this piece of quartz melting like a candle.
No, I love that idea. Now, if you can't get the visualization to start with, trust yourself that it's there.
Yes.
Even if you can't see it, tell yourself it is there. It's orange now, or it's red now. And eventually you will see it. It will start to happen for you. You just got to trust yourself and you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Especially with even just seeing the colors, just different colors in your mind.
And I love that idea with taking an object that you can hold and see. Because I see a lot of times it's like, oh, visualize a rose. It's like, okay, but with you being able to hold it and look at it, I mean, that's a pretty cool concept right there, because then it'll make it a little easier to see in your mind, maybe.
Right. And you can start with something simple and work your way up to something more complicated. So, that has a lot more detail to it. That was an exercise I wanted to throw out there for you guys to try. Now, go ahead. Does somebody have something?
Oh, no, I was humming.
Oh.
Interesting.
All right. So, external clairvoyance, like seeing auras, for example. So we'll go ahead and jump in on this. So they say, okay, so how you want to start with this, first off, is you don't want to focus. You want to have an unfocused gaze with all of this, almost like you are staring through something, not at something. Okay,
Right.
that's the biggest thing, and the main factor that I have seen with all of this. Okay, especially when, like, if you see like the shadow people, you know how you like catch it out of the corner of your eye, right?
Right.
You're still seeing it. Okay, that is that external clairvoyance at work. You're picking up on these things, those flashes out the corner of your eye, or you see the darting little shadow things move across the floor, which I had when we first moved in here. But you see the shadows, you see the stuff. Sometimes it's in, almost like it's in your peripheral. It stays in that outside vision, and that's because you're not focusing on it. So please, please, please keep in mind with this, with the external clairvoyance, you are not focusing. It's all very unfocused. And
For
as
the
far
most
as
part.
right, exactly. And it gets stronger, it gets better, it gets easier. But if you're starting out and you're like staring at something and you're focusing on it so hard, you're going to miss it. You're not going to see it.
No, exactly. I thought
It's
I
just
seen a face in the window one day, and I was like, all right, where'd you go? Where'd you go? You gonna look at me funny again? Like, come on. Blink. Say something. Come on. And I was like, darn it.
right, but you just caught it real fast, like, because you weren't focused on it, right?
Right.
So
They've said it's like the pictures where you had to kind of cross your eyes a little bit and go lazy eye to see the picture within those. What is it called?
I
Oh, the
can't
magic
remember.
eyes?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. They said
Where
yes,
that
you
that's the
suck
way
the
that
thing up
you.
on your nose and you're like,
yes.
there it is.
You had to like completely unfocus your vision to be able to see that 3D thing pop out there and like pick it up.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, it's that same concept. So I guess the biggest thing is auras. There, you really don't have a whole lot of control over um, what you see as far as spirits, ghosts, the shadows, the lights, angels, or fairies, uh,
Mhm.
any of those, right? Like, that's really up to them if they want to show themselves to you. Also, you do have to have somewhat of the gift, right, to be able to do that, but they also have to want to be seen. If they don't want to be seen, you're not going to see them. Please don't spend all this time and effort trying to see things that don't want to be seen, because
No,
you're going to get
exactly.
frustrated. But the thing that you can practice on would be the auras. So that's where I'm going to try to focus this last little bit of this episode. So it can help if you are already experienced with internal clairvoyance and seeing the different colors within your mind's eye, to start there. Okay, so you would just take a person or an animal, it would work with an animal as well, and just close your eyes and just try to see, sense, feel their energy, and what color would it be. And this is like not a test, right? Like, it's literally, again, going back to that trusting yourself, and whatever shows up, whatever color you see or whatever color you sense, That's what you go with. Okay. There's no right or wrong. We're practicing, we're developing. Okay. So if you want to, like, say, take your dog and you're looking at your dog and all of a sudden you see maybe pink. Okay. You just let that pink be there in your mind's eye and you hold on to that and you be okay with that. Okay. Again, people try to have hard and fast rules on energy colors and aura colors, and that is not completely accurate because you have to end up building your own data bank of what colors mean for you, what symbols mean for you. Okay, so please, they are guidelines. Okay, let's just say it's guidelines as far as these colors go. So please don't be like, oh my gosh, my dog's aura is green and it means that they're sick. No. Okay, and I totally just pulled that out of my hat. So please don't think that green means you're sick. Um, again, they're guidelines. Okay, you let it mean what it needs to mean for you. And again, writing this stuff down helps you build this list of correspondences for yourself.
Right. For instance,
But if you,
blue for one person. Okay. For instance, blue for somebody might mean calm or happy, but blue for somebody else might represent depression or sadness or something. So it's really on you.
exactly, perfect example, because there's such an array of colors for one, and it can mean so many different things for different people and for you. So, but for practicing purposes, let's just say you are looking at your dog and you feel pink. Okay. And you just kind of hold that in your mind's eye. Then you want to open your eyes and see your dog, right? And it's almost like you want to try to take that mind's eye vision of the pink and just glaze it over with your eyes open. This is how you can practice the auras. I know it sounds a little weird, but it's like you soften your gaze at your dog, right? We're staring through, not at. We're not trying to see the color pink on the dog. We are just seeing through, focusing through the dog, softening that gaze. And it's almost like you're letting that mind's eye filter, almost like, an Instagram filter, drop down and over. But your eyes are open and you see that color. And it might take a while for that to build. It might take a while for it to happen. And again, the next time you try it, the color might be different. And that's okay. Maybe your dog's in a different mood. That's okay.
And everybody sees auras in a different way. Like, really. One person may see this big burst of light behind somebody, like, oh, look at all that blue behind them, or look at all that yellow behind them. And then other people might only see it as a fine line around the person. So
Yes.
even auras are perceived differently, and it all depends on you.
Yes, very, very true. Great point. And again, all of that kind of goes in line with what that person's energy is doing. If that person feels like you're invading their energy and you're trying to read their aura, they could restrict their energy in and pull it very close to their body, and you're not going to see it because they're protecting themselves, they're cloaking themselves. Other people just let their energy shine bright, and you're going to see it. You can see it 3 feet around them. And then there's different layers to these energies as well. So again, that's why what you see and what you sense is going to be, different from person to person. And the colors can mean a variety of things. Other people carry things in their aura, right? So like, I've seen angels with people.
Oh,
I've
wow.
seen animals with people. Objects. So like there's different things that just kind of stay within a person's energy field that gets carried around with them as well. But just for practicing purposes, I would keep it very simple. Practice on somebody, preferably with their permission and consent, so that they're not feeling awkward and pulling their energy in, making it harder, or a pet, where you can just kind of play around and just see what comes to you color wise, and then practice dropping those different layers or filters over. And that's just going to slowly build up that sense. And again, all of this is exercise, exercise, exercise. They're muscles. They have to be strengthened. They have to be used. You have to practice if you want it to get stronger. So that's what I have as far as trying to practice on the external. So Rose, what did you think about that?
Oh, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Okay, cool.
I've been struggling and wanting to learn how to read auras, so that gives me some heads up on that and pointers.
Yeah. And
I'm over here staring at the outline of people going, "What color are you? I can't see nothing. Why?"
And they're probably like, why is somebody staring at me? You know when somebody's staring at you. You catch people staring
oh gosh.
You, and you pull your energy in like, no, I didn't ask for that. No, not the one.
Get away, you creeper.
That's why I say people can make it hard. So it is nice to have somebody that will give you permission, that is okay with you practicing on them. I have also had it be easier if the person is in front of a neutral wall. So something that doesn't have any colors, artwork, like have them sit in front of just a plain wall. That can tend to make it a little bit easier, especially if you're just first trying to pick up colors, but then also if you're trying to see where their energy is at, where their colors are at, and even if you're just trying to practice dropping those filters down for yourself of the different colors on your vision, having that kind of blank canvas of which to visualize dropping those things over helps, because it's a blending of that external and internal, and meshing the two together that kind of makes that external happen.
Right. Let's hope it's not a white day. Because if it's white, you're not going to see it. It's like, oh crap.
That would make for a bad practice day, yes. You're like, I'm not getting it.
Why is your aura white today? We need a black wall or a green one.
Hey, there you go. Give that a go. But yeah, so you guys, that's it for me. That's all I have as far as clairvoyance goes. I really hope that is helpful to people, just to know that there's a variety of ways that you can get information. One thing I feel like, well, we kind of touched on with some of like you seeing the scenes and stuff, Rose. I know like for me, sometimes I'll have visions of things happening and it feels like that movie screen, right? So it's further out in front of me. I don't know necessarily the people involved, and typically that's like information that I need to share or give to somebody else. Or I'll see like a scene playing out. Like for like one time I saw, I was shown a bedroom, and it was in a basement, and there was like a bed and a TV. It was really dark, and the TV was on, and the only thing I could really see very clearly was the TV kept going off. And but I was in a dark room, and it did feel distant. So it's like I was almost like I was watching it happen. I was there, but not in the scene. So I guess second person watching it happen. And the message there was the girl's grandmother was showing up during her reading to let her know that she was the one turning her TV off at night, because she was telling her it was time to go to bed. She was staying up too late. Right. She was like, "Are you kidding me? It's been my grandma turning my TV off this whole time." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the TV. She's telling you need to take your butt to bed and go to sleep."
Have you had any external experiences?
Yes. So like I see the little shadow people. I have seen fairies playing in the grass. That was a pretty cool experience.
That was cool.
That was really cool. And actually, Rooster saw that too. And Sister, you were there, but I don't think you remember, or I don't even know if you saw it.
Wait, are you talking about the baseball game?
Yes,
Uh, we still can't find the pictures.
that's
Rooster and
true.
I, Rooster and I both took pictures of these fairies in the grass because you guys were freaking out because I took my shoes off, I think, to go out there and walk in the grass to try and, see what they were, what it was
These little,
that
they were like little lights, like playing on the grass, like they were moving and I
but
don't,
it
I,
Like, are you
yeah,
wasn't
friendly, Faye?
right.
but it wasn't fireflies.
Mm-mm.
Um because fireflies, you can tell what a firefly is.
Right.
Um, it wasn't, it was kind of, they were kind of bright like orbs,
Hmm.
when you see those on camera, but you only see orbs on cameras.
Right.
Um, they were, it's almost as if you were in a field of flowers and the flowers were little balls of light, but it was a field of grass. It's the hardest thing. And it's I don't know why neither of us can find these pictures because
They're
all of
gone.
my pictures get saved. They
Hmm.
all go to the cloud, and I have looked and I have found all of the other pictures from that time period except those.
He can't find them either. He can't
Because I
find them
guess
either.
he even messaged me after, I think it was like that night or later on in the week. And he's like, "Hey, do you have those pictures? That was really cool." And we couldn't, we couldn't
Gone.
find anything.
Those
Gone.
fairies said you have no evidence.
Right. They were like, we are disposing of the evidence. Exactly.
Right?
Um, I have seen auras on people. Um, and I do sometimes see like the shadows. I definitely get the flashes of light in the corners. I get that a lot. Um, I think that's about it. Oh, no, I do have, I may have already shared this one somewhere on the podcast. I can't remember. This was a creepy experience. I think I told about, it might have been the last episode. I can't remember, but I had to
The
sage that
whispers in
apartment
the
that I
ear.
lived in. Do what?
The whispers in the ear.
No, it wasn't that one. It was the same apartment. I had saged it, got it cleared, um, and ran out of sage because it took a big Bertha bundle. That's what I'm going to call it. It was a huge bundle of sage. Ran out of sage, so I couldn't go outside and sage myself. And this thing was piggybacking me. I could feel something literally riding on my back. And went to go get more sage. And there was this street festival going on downtown, and which was not the right atmosphere for what I had going on at the time. People everywhere, crowded, like people on my back, but I knew this thing was on my back. I could feel its claws literally digging into my shoulders. Um, and it was like hovering. I literally could feel it breathing down my neck. And I looked back over my shoulder walking through this crowd, and it was seriously like right at, like if I'm looking forward, I would say its head was right at the back of my ear. And when I looked back, I saw its face, and it was this little pig demon thing. I'm
Oh.
serious. It creeped me out. This thing was like it was a negative nasty. Like it was a bad evil little thing. But it looked like a pig. It had these horns coming up out of its mouth. Um and then it had more horns like up on its head, and they curled. Um it was it was very disturbing, and it was like I could see through it, but yet I did not completely see through it. Like it was there, and it was almost like pig flesh. It's like it was
Oh.
like a pinky fleshy, but it was like pig skinned was what it was. Like
Like a little piggy demon.
yes, like he literally had like the hairs and the texture and the horns and the drool and I mean, he was a legit thing there. Like I saw him, I felt him, I could smell him. He was nasty and he had to get off my back and go because I was not carrying that thing around anymore because he had to go and he went, but he did not go willingly. But yeah, that was definitely an external Claire moment for sure. But one of the coolest internal Claire moments was when I saw Archangel Gabriel. I'm going to assume it was Gabriel because that was the knowing sense, like we talked about. I just had a knowing that it was Gabriel. Standing over one of my friends. So I was actually just getting dressed. I was in my closet trying to pick out something to wear. It was Saturday morning. No big deal. Minding my own business. And all out of nowhere, I get this vision that just slaps me upside the head of my friend standing in her kitchen at her bar in her kitchen, island bar. And I saw Archangel Gabriel. He was huge. Standing behind her, and he was like hugging her, wrapping her up, and she was like had her hands on the island, had her head hung like she was really stressed out and worried, and he was just there. I mean, powerful, strong. I'm getting chill bumps all over again, and he just had her so wrapped up. And I texted her and I said, "Are you standing in your kitchen right now at your island?" And she was like, "Yeah." And she said, "I'm really freaking out. You know, this is a situation going on." And I said, "Well, I'm letting you know that I saw you standing there just like that right now because you have Archangel Gabriel standing right behind you and he is hugging you up and you are going to be okay. You don't have anything to worry about." And she was like, "Thank you so much." She said, "You have no idea what that means to me." I said, "You ain't got nothing to worry about." This whole day is going to go your way. But like I said, I was just minding my business. I'm literally standing in my closet like, what am I wearing today? But that was one of the coolest internal moments I think I had ever had. And it was just amazing because she was standing right where I saw her. So,
wow.
Yeah. The window was behind her, like whole 9 yards, like, and she was exactly where, because that was the first thing I asked, like, "Are you right here, right now in this spot?" Like, and she was like, "Yeah." So again, you can sometimes like seek out that validation, I guess.
Right. And then once you get it, it's like, yay!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, that's one of those I will never forget. Nobody can ever take that from me. Nobody can ever convince me that didn't happen. Just like nobody could ever convince me I didn't see that little pig face guy. Like,
right.
Nope, that was legit. And in that single instant that I saw that, yep, it scared the shit out of me. Not gonna lie. You know, like, yeah, I'm a witch. I can handle my shit. But when you turn around and you see that little shit on you, yeah, for a second you're like, "Oh shit, this is not good."
Oh
like,
shit.
Yeah, we gonna handle some business. Like you're about to be evicted, big time.
Right.
So. But all right, you guys, I think this is it. I don't have anything else to add. I hope everybody has really enjoyed the episode. Do you guys have any closing, parting comments?
My husband just scared the crap out of me. He came out and was whispering to me. I was like, "What the?" And everything that you guys are just talking about.
So you're talking about this pig demon.
Oh. Minor heart attack. We're good. We're good. I live.
Okay.
Say my takeaway from this is, to put it in simple terms, you see shit. Either inside your head or outside your head. I mean, I didn't know my mind had eyeballs, but you know, it's an interesting thing.
But yeah, but you know, when we were talking about and I'm like digging in, asking you questions about what you're seeing, like, yeah, your mind's got eyeballs. You got a big third eye one right there in the middle of your head, and I did. I love that you talked about how you were able to like zoom around and move around within that scene, um, give some perspective on some stuff. So I hope we had a good and valuable episode here. If you guys have enjoyed it, please, please, please let us know, share, give us a review. We would love some reviews wherever you're listening to us, whether that's Pandora, Apple, Google, you know, all the different many platforms available. We would love for you to leave us a review, let other people know about us. And when you guys leave us a review, it does, I think, help other people find us as well. We'd love for you to share. And don't forget, we would really appreciate if you would like and follow on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube. It helps us out. We'd love for you to join the group. Ask your questions. You can send us an email, thewitchsource@gmail.com. And we also have a website, you guys. You can check us out there, thewitchsource.com. You can find products, readings, lots of stuff there. You can check us out. We'll probably be revamping and upgrading soon. Hint, hint. So make sure you're coming back. And let's see. Did I hit everything? I think I hit everything. Did I miss anything?
You did. I think you got everything.
All right.
Like our page, join our group.
Yeah. And if you guys have episode ideas or anything you guys want to know about, you'd like for us to talk about, share about, drop us an email or send us a message on Facebook or anywhere else, and we'll find it and we'll add it to the list and put it out. So
Definitely love the feedback.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you guys, have a great night, everybody, and we will see you next week, and we will be covering the claircognizance, which is that Clair knowing. So that should be fun.
Woohoo! So you'll know shit.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, that's my thing. Keep it simple.
Guys, we will see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.